how you doing? My name is Josh Dukes. Again, thank you so much for having me. I do feel blessed to be here and a part of what you have going on. A little bit about us, One Residential. We service the DMV area, which is known as the DC, Maryland, and Virginia market. We normally tell folks, there's a big beltway that goes all the way around DC, and we basically cover the beltway area and about another 30 minutes out. So maybe an hour outside of the rate of a full radius of DC. And we have 40 agents, 15 support staff, and we take real estate very seriously. We have a high level product as far as our listings are concerned, and we really believe in that win-win spirit. So yeah, One Residential, really happy to be here, and I'm ready to dive in.
Well, the your partner, um, because you guys you're just partners. You're not married, right? Or are you?
No, so we're married, but business. We're
Okay.
married in business, if you will. So she's definitely the work wife, as we joke. I've got a wife and a boss at home, and she's got a husband who's a boss at home. So, but yeah, we are married through business.
Yeah, I love that because I couldn't tell, but I what I loved about it was the synergy between you two. It felt like, I mean, you guys were on the same accord, and so I wasn't going to be shocked if you were married or not. I wasn't going to be shocked, but I
Yep,
just
yep.
didn't know. Not that it makes one bit of difference at all. So let me ask you this, because completely aside from a normal real estate talk, there in the DMV, I can't even tell you, Delara Wentz, she was on about a month and a half ago, and she had made a comment. Either you know her or she respects you like I do, with so much talent in that area. How I'd like to say, how do you compete, but how do you separate yourself from everyone else? I mean, the coalition team is there, Delara Wentz is there, right?
Yep, yep,
I
yep.
know that Bo and Kimber, they run, operations in that general area. And yet you guys are crushing it. I'd like to think, how does that happen? But again, my point is, how do you separate yourself from all the other talent out there?
That's a great question. And I'll take it in a couple layers here. I would be remiss to not say that the real reason why we crush it starts with the folks that we actually have on the team, and that has to do with the hiring process and the attraction. Um, we always like to say that we hire folks that don't need a team, that love to work on a team, right? And so we Gary Keller talks about hiring killers, and killers in the sense of that they're laser focused, whether it be on customer service, being the best that they can be, always educating themselves and committing to growth. We have a killer mentality when it comes to real estate in general. So I think number one of our differentiators is that we really commit to mastery of the listing and committing to mastery of helping the buyer and being a consultant, not a salesperson. And that goes through our DNA as far as what our culture is based around. So our culture, we are all about service above self, which we got from the Rotarian culture. Service above self in all things that we do, and we push that. So number one, we are focused on the client, and the agent pool that we have are committed to educationally bettering themselves and serving the client. Number one. Number two, another differentiator is that we have a listing coordination team that is, I mean, I think we're the best in the area, hands down. And a lot of it has to do with the fact of when we do take a listing, we actually have somebody that corresponds on behalf of the agent that keeps the listing process going and always one step ahead of what the client is thinking, which makes us look like we are overly prepared and always working ahead of any issues that may occur. So I'll give you an example. Our listing coordination team, I take a listing. As soon as I take a listing, I go ahead, I input in our coming soon form. Coming soon form goes to the listing coordinator. Listing coordinator immediately jumps in and will send out this beautiful email that codifies the relationship between me, the agent, and also my new client and our team. And it's going to lay out the next 30 days of what's going to happen, whether it's going to be we have a designer on staff. The designer goes out, meets with the client, walks through. It's not me beating up their house. It's this designer who has a degree and does this all the time that's going to help them get a better price for their house. So the designer goes out. That's going to be in that email the listing coordinator sends out. Then, we're going to do a full staging consult. From there, then we're going to, have the staging team that we have already in house on our team, so we control all of it. They're going to show up. Now, a huge differentiator with us is that when you get staging, what do? They put furniture in the house, right? They're like they make the space feel good. Well, our staging team literally would go in there and they're like, "Hey, that light is the wrong color light." They will switch a light bulb. There's a light switch on the door frame that is almond color. The rest of them are white. They will switch that. Things like that are little tiny things that make us one step ahead of an agent that comes and says, "Hey, I have a stager, I'll get them in here." It's like, no, this is my staging team. They're going to be in here and they're going to pay attention to all the little things that you don't have to worry about and you might not even notice. So I think the listing process is another differentiator for us, and I really believe that ultimately, going back to people and culture, that is our secret sauce.
I love that. I love that. Now, one other question there with, I'm not sure about your market, but I know here in Dallas, I mean, the average home now is sitting on the market anywhere from 90 to about 120 days on average. And so, 60 days into that process, 90 days, how often are you communicating, or is that listing coordinator communicating with your sellers? Is it once a week or twice a week, or is there a number of, or anything?
Yeah, so the listing coordinator, think of it this way. The listing coordinator is pre-list. Okay. Once you list, then now it is on the agent to then communicate. Now, listing coordinator will still coordinate every now and then, but as far as agents are concerned, we train our agents that there must be full-blown updates once a week on what's going on. Number two, not just sending an email, but depending on asking what the preferences of the seller, how they would like to be communicated with, and then upholding what you committed to. So if they say, I like phone calls, like that means you need to be on the phone come Monday and Tuesday giving updates on what's going on. But again, being proactive, especially with days on market going up, is the best way to provide that service that needs to happen. And at the same time, keeping your client in the game, because we all know the longer it goes, sometimes they start to reconsider, did I hire the right agent? So if you over communicate and you keep them in line with what's going on, and they understand that you're proactive, they're never going to second guess you.
Love that. Love that. Um, for the folks who are attending here and the folks who will jump on YouTube, give us your 2024 production, which was impressive. And are you guys pacing a little below? You're at that standard, or you're pacing ahead for 2025?
Yeah, so 2024, we did 270. Well, there's always like a discrepancy of a little bit. So somewhere between 270 to 75. We looked at the KW reports, we looked at our reporting, but we'll go with the lower number, okay? Because in real estate we always bloviate and push things up. I'll go low. We did 270 million last year. This year we are 1 million away from our actual last year's production. So we're pacing an extra quarter of production. So we're expected to definitely break the 300 billion mark this year, which we're really happy with, especially since, like the last 2 years, a lot of the reporting has been that the market is down. I mean, sales are down, like everything else, but we were able to really dig in and go at it hard. And right now we're pacing over 300 million, which we're very, very happy with.
Josh, I'm so excited to hear that. I look at my own production and I'm pacing ahead of last year, but not significantly. And I would share that because I think that I know that I'm going to finish ahead. And yet, from the coaching standpoint, they go, well, I'm still look. It looks like I'm going to be about 9 units below my goal. And so a coach would go, well, Ben, was that really your goal? Were you really committed to it? And I just I'm on the other side of that. And I'm like, you're not going to make me feel bad about my accomplishment at all, especially when I
Right, right.
did better than last year. So uh, kudos, my brother. Keep going, keep going.
I
That
appreciate it.
that being said, what uh what are you guys doing here to again crush it in the fourth quarter and move into 2026 on a high note?
All right, I'll break this into two sections. So I would be remiss not to talk about my, as I call her, my battle buddy, Erin Jones, and one of my best friends. So the way we have it split up is I'm the agents, she's the admin. Okay, she's systems and processes. I'm agent productivity and culture. So the things that we're looking at to make sure that we push through the last quarter of this year to hit our goals. Number one, we actually just started a a fourth quarter push to the end, and it's a contest that we're doing that has to do with taking listings, taking buyers, and under contracts, right? And so we started it on Thursday. Every week we got a tiny little coffee card prize for whoever took the most listings, buyer contracts, and put under contract for the week. And at the end of this contest, we have a cool prize of somebody gets a 2-day stay out in the middle of nowhere on the top of a mountain in a beautiful Airbnb that's actually owned by our assistant director of sales. So, we're incentivizing on the agent side to like, let's do the activities, let's do them together, let's make it a little bit fun, and let's push to the end. On the admin side, we have a huge push to integrate AI and other different systems that will make things quicker, faster, stronger for the administrators, so that the agents are getting the level of service that can help them continue this level of production throughout the rest of the year. What I will tell you, and you'll probably laugh, and everybody else that's on this call, the summer is a great and horrible time for an agent, right? The summer, there's so many distractions. The weather's hot. Normally, the market, at least where we're from, market slows down in the summer. People are out to lunch, they're doing their things, and agents tend to burn out sometime in the summer too, because they just went through a hellacious, spring market, and they start to take their foot off the gas. So it's always important for the end of third quarter to get some type of incentivization going that really gets people motivated to get back in the game and make sure fourth quarter is strong. Because I think we all know that fourth quarter is really like half of 2026, right? Fourth quarter is next year. Half of fourth quarter is next year. So you have to go strong into fourth quarter and have that mindset that's like straight ahead. I've got next year coming, so why don't I finish strong? Because finishing strong is also starting strong.
Amen. Amen. Now, that being said, do you have numbers that you try to achieve, like calls to your database, calls to, expires or for sale by owners? Here in our market center, typically we have bold in the fourth quarter type thing. Open houses, are those metrics that you guys are, focused on or not?
Yeah, well, so huge sea change for us. Um, we in the past we focused on under contracts, closed units per agent. Now, obviously, we've always known contacts. You have to make contacts to then get appointments. To get appointments to go under contract, and then as it moves through. But we really focused on under contracts just this year, and this is through the help of our executive coach, Chris Lagarde. We've really fine tuned what we're going to do with contacts and tracking of listings taken and buyers taken, and that's actually why we're doing this contest the way that we are. So the numbers that we're looking for, uh, at a minimum, we want a strong appointment set weekly. at a minimum. And then we're looking for two signed listings and two signed buyers on a monthly basis. That is at a minimum. That's the floor. Now, as far as contacts are concerned, it's funny you said bold. We we actually have bold starting tomorrow. Bold starts tomorrow, and one of the big things that we do is we have a standard on the team that every year you have to be a part of some educational professional development program. So most of our agents just take bold to hit that requirement. So we're going to have 35 agents from our team in bold tomorrow. Now, our market center loves us because we show up in droves, and we show up. But we also utilize bold as a great tool because we know that when bold shows up, productivity goes up. So we've got this we have this contest going on, and then we've got bold on top of it to help fuel the activity level.
I love that. I love that. Wow. Um, and for those because there's some new agents on here, I think it's important that they hear really what the standard is and your requirements because that's what it takes in order to win, I think, in this market. And, and again, I'm pretty fortunate because my business is so mature. And yet there's still so many things that I can do to take me to the next level. Some of them I don't have the energy for, and some of them I'm willing to embrace and do. So
Mm-hmm.
kudos to
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
guys, man. Continue to lead the way because Josh, it's impressive, and I'm so thrilled that you're on today, and looking forward to hopefully staying connected because so much of my business is through you and vice versa, right? Almost 25% of my business comes from my referral partners from all over the country. So
That's
hopefully,
great.
yeah. So the discipline I think you guys bring was that part of your upbringing or your military background, or was it a combination of the both?
I think no, no. I think it's a combination of the both. I think both of us intrinsically have a an accountability mindset when it comes to professional development and professional excellence. Mine was obviously set the military. Through the military, I ascended the ranks pretty quickly. I was one of the youngest master sergeants in the Army. I was 26 years old when I pinned on E8, and from there, I went through all the leadership schools. I ended up being a drum major at a very young age because I was in the escort to the president, which is the fife and drum corps that they have, and I was drilled constantly with show up on time, uh, do your job, make sure when you're doing your job, you're doing it at the best of your ability, and always influence folks to do their best. So it was a mixture of all those things, and I just didn't know anything different. Right, that was the way life was. For Erin, she was in theater, and in theater, it doesn't matter what happens. You could be having a bad day. You could be thrown up in the back. Like it doesn't matter. All thousands of people are going to show up, and guess what you got to do? Doesn't matter. The show must go on. And so those two sides of our worlds really came together well, and it really showed up in when we were newer agents. We set up a mastermind. There was 10 agents. We were showing up. We were keeping each other accountable. And guess what happened? Every week we would drop somebody. And then by the end, 3 months later, it was just her and I. Imagine that. And to this day, we credit that weekly accountability session. It's only 15 minutes long, uh, to a lot of where we are today because we still have that session on Thursday at 10:30, and we still do it to this day.
Again, that's powerful and it's crazy because I've got a couple of members on here. We did the same thing. Now it dates back years ago, but we were meeting, I think once a month, I think, or maybe it was every 3 weeks. And we did that group for years and years and years. And some of them left the company and went to other places. And yet I think that kind of on an informal basis, I'm still doing that. But For those who are on the call, maybe I need to make it a little more formal and maybe join you and Aaron, right? Or something like that. Because again, I can, even after 36 years, I can use the accountability because I've gotten lazy and complacent, but it is what it is. I'm just being
We
brutally
all
honest,
do.
right?
We
Right.
all do. We all do. We
Yeah.
all do. And that's why, I mean, I think if there was one thing in business, take real estate out of it, one thing in business that is a non-negotiable that you must find that other person that you really feel accountable to. Yeah, I get it. You can be accountable to yourself. Some people are more accountable to themselves than others, but ultimately you will let yourself down.
Yes.
But if you find the right person that you refuse to let down, that person is invaluable.
Amen.
And I gotta be honest, like I mean, I would run through 1,000 doors to not let Erin down. And I know she feels the same way. And that in itself has propelled the things that we're on the same page with. And it's so accountability, buddy, is the one thing I would say that is a great indicator for success in your goals, as long as you're in alignment.
Absolutely. Well, guys, don't miss that. That was such a nugget right there. And again, I've got so many friends on this call and friends who couldn't be here. So, and I see Ronald just jumped on, and so he's a new friend. So, uh, don't be surprised if you get the call from me at all. So, thanks for sharing, especially the business stuff. Now, on a personal note, again, I know you're a girl dad. But
Yes, I am.
talk to me briefly. Where does this Irish stuff come from? Breakfast, music.
Yeah,
What's up, bro? What's up?
yeah. Yeah, so so really quick, so my background in the military, I played in a fife and drum corps. It's a one of a kind military unit, very niche. And so I think the big thing with me is that funny enough, give me 1 second. There's a massive bug in here that I've been like trying to I've been looking at him. He's staring at me. He's right by my face, and I cannot ignore him anymore. Hold on, give me one
Uh,
second. I'm gonna get him. Give me
get
one
him.
second. Get out of here, boy.
Get him.
Go on, get out of here. He was gonna crawl on my face. Okay, I'm back.
I love that.
Uh, so anyway, um, but yeah, I got into this fife and drum music when I was a child. Growing up in the New England area, and so I got into it. I've always had a knack for instruments. I played a lot of instruments in school, but I played fife and drum music. Who would have thought? Fife and drum music is a traditional music, which borderlines, it kind of parallels Irish music. And I ended up just getting into it when I got into the fife and drum corps in the Army
Yeah.
at Fort Myer. And there just happened to be a couple guys that were, they had a couple Irish instruments and they were playing them. And I'm like, hey guys, what is this? And they're like, hey, don't worry about this. Let me tell you what we do. We take these instruments, we take them down to the local pub on Monday night. We hang out with our friends. We play music all night, drink a couple beers. And I was like, guys, you got to bring me. That sounds amazing. So that's how I got into it. And, 20 years later, I have a standing gig that I've been playing for um, almost 20 years in Old Town Alexandria. And it's been amazing because, you know, I mean, a lot of my clients come from it. It's an outlet for me. I have a joke with my wife. I'm like, you can either let me play music or you can pay for my shrink bills. Playing music is definitely cheaper. I actually get paid to play music, so like you might as well let me do it. But that's the Irish music thing. It's quite a thing, and I don't like to brag, but I will say I was fortunate enough to win the All Ireland competition in 2009 in
Oh my goodness.
Tullamore, Ireland, which was obviously kind of a big thing since I am black and this is Irish traditional music. So like it was definitely a spectacle for me to win. People were like they just couldn't believe it, but it was a thing. But I had a great time, and I love Irish music. I love all types of music, and that's my background in that.
And Josh, see, again, I'm just not surprised in chatting with you because I think that you know what, you don't judge this book by its cover. That's what I'm getting, right? And I think
Yeah, yeah.
especially in the craziness that we're living in today, I think that, you know what, it's okay to step outside the norm of what people would expect from you, right? You deliver exceptional service, right? And I'm sure you work with everyone, black, white, brown, yellow,
Yep,
green,
don't
it
care.
doesn't matter, right? People
Don't
who
care.
people who seek top level service, that's what you deliver, right? And I feel I'm the same way. I feel like don't get pigeonholed into one thing, right? Be
Yep.
willing to listen, learn, and grow. And so you're a shining example of that. So man, I am so
I appreciate
excited
that.
about really about moving forward and now having you in our world because I can assure you most people, I see Alyssa jumped on here and Ronald and Christina, some of the folks didn't know who you were and now they'll never forget who you are. And so I love that
I
about
appreciate that.
this platform because when I see folks on stage, especially, I know what it takes to get there. And you didn't do that by accident, right? There was focused effort, time, and attention, processes and systems that you guys are crushing because Gary Keller doesn't bring just any so-so on stage. So, and I love the fact that and again, you represent. You represent not just for us, but for all. So, man, keep doing it. Keep doing it.
I
Is
appreciate that.
yes, is there as we leave, because again, 35 minutes move so quickly. Is there anything that you would that you'd love to share that either I haven't asked or something that's important to you and your team or you personally that we might be able to get a nugget from?
Um, I would say that so I'll leave you all with this. Over the last year and some change, I've been on this journey, right? This journey has been it's a journey of health, it's a journey of surviving, it's a journey of living life as best as you can. And like I'm 46, if you're in your midlife, of being on this earth, you either hit your crisis or you've had your crisis or whatever it is, but you look at things differently. You start to tell yourself things every day matters more and more. And what I'll tell people is that I was 416 pounds a year and like maybe 2 months ago. And I woke up one day and I really felt like I was dying. And I I really went on a journey of understanding how to live better, to feel better. And if whether it's business, whether it's your personal life, whether it's relationships, whatever it is, it really is about taking ownership of what you are doing personally and not putting it on anybody else. And once I took extreme ownership of what I was doing to myself, it was the only way that I could be accountable to the things I needed to do on a daily basis, to ultimately save my life. And, that might sound crazy, but really, for real, I was on a path of sooner death than probably I should have been. And even though every day is not guaranteed, we have to take the time that we have seriously, and we need to be real and get right with ourselves with whatever you're trying to accomplish. And ultimately, I had to do that. I was able to do that. I lost 120 pounds. I did not take medication to do it. I did
Mm,
not, it was more or less just understanding what had to be done
mm,
and finding out the one thing that guarantees everything else. And for me, the one thing that guaranteed everything else was that I had to get up earlier to have my workout before anybody could mess it up. And once I figured that out, everything else fell in place. So just like Jay and all those guys, and Gary, they wrote the one thing. It is really the one thing. You have to find the one thing that guarantees everything else, and everything else will fall into place.
I I can't thank you anymore for leaving us there because I think that without Josh taking care of Josh, nothing else matters. To your wife, to your girls, to your business partner, your community, you do so much. And I think, guys, do not lose, don't lose that nugget right there. And I think especially today, all you have to do, my best friend and I, we talk about it each and every week. There's someone we lose either in our family, in our friend group, from our high school, from our college, from our community, parents of almost every day. And so we've got to take better care of us. And you hit the extreme ownership. Have you read that book?
Yeah, it's an amazing book. Hey,
So,
everybody should read it.
right, right. Again, I've listened to it too, and I think it's powerful. So, guys, find the one thing that's above and beyond everything else that'll help you do what you need to do to get to where you need to get to. So, Josh, perfect way to end it, my brother.